Well, good Friday morning. I'm Jeff Coleman.
And I'm Deborah Pinkerton. Welcome to Morning Light.
In just a moment, our Morning Light panel will go behind the headlines.
But first, here's a preview of what's coming up later in the show. Discover the significance of a baby born in a manger. We will share details about a Pennsylvania church's Christmas Wonderland production. Plus, hear a song from last year's program.
But it is Friday, October 18th. In a public appeal for a presidential commutation, that's a reduction in a sentence, jailed former Allentown Mayor Ed Pulaski posted a public apology yesterday for being a foolish man, blaming ego and bad consultants for giving into an illegal fundraising scheme during a bid for the U.S. Senate. Citing the movie, he wrote, "Mr. Smith goes to Washington no more." So what do we make of apologies, especially those from public figures like Mayor Pulaski or former President Bill Clinton? And what about politicians who never, ever apologize?
Well, I think many politicians don't apologize, but many of us don't apologize either.
We don't do it enough, and probably not as sincere as it should be, for sure.
Absolutely. So why do skeptics doubt Christianity, a faith built on grace, forgiveness of sin, and a relationship with the Creator? What's at the top of the list of objections? Well, according to research by Barna, 42% say hypocrisy. Many have a high opinion of Jesus, but don't see his followers exhibiting his traits. So do unbelievers have a point?
Well, this is one of those periods where all the world is watching Pennsylvania, and many of them are watching reporters or interviewing Christians to see if their conduct matches what we claim, for sure.
Absolutely.
Well, John Wesley, the father of Methodism, a Christian revival movement in England in the 18th century, gave 3 warnings for Christians about conduct during elections. Don't take a bribe, vote for the best person, and don't speak evil about the person you vote against, making sure to guard your spirit against bitterness for those who vote differently. Was Mr. Wesley right, or was he too impractical, too heavenly minded for life on earth? We'll take these questions in the Morning Light panel this morning. Jeff Wakeen, welcome back. Thank you for being here all week.
Yeah.
Cynthia Lyons, what a wonderful conversation this has been having you a part of.
Thank you.
And Gordon Denlinger, my former colleague and Deputy Auditor General, great to have you back.
Good to be back.
Yeah. So, look, political apologies are something that we hear a lot. I mean, really, Google apology, and it comes up. Every corporation, every business, at some time in their history has issued an apology. Churches, countries. We have apologized for slavery and how we treated Indians and the Japanese during World War II. But when a politician issues an apology, it gets a little interesting, right? Mm-hmm. So let me read you a little bit from what Mayor Pulaski said, posted from prison. "When I leave the confines of this place where I've paid my debts, I hope to once again serve the community I love in some way. Only God knows what awaits me, and so I will wait on his direction. I hope that I can be forgiven for my many mistakes by those who have meant so much to me, my family, friends, the people of the city. I was a foolish man. Please forgive me." Cynthia, how does that strike you when you hear this?
He is forgiven. And certainly I'm not one to judge, but you know, my parents used to say actions speak louder than words.
Right.
And I do hope that his actions speak louder than words.
Do we hold back sometimes on forgiveness because we want to hear the right tone or the right set of words, and should we be?
Well, I mean, again, politics are hard. You know, in this, it's really sort of, it sets itself apart as its own community. So my personal opinion is sometimes when we look at politicians who do apologize, don't they get judged, whomever they are, don't they get judged a little more harshly than what maybe we would judge a family member?
Interesting. Is there a disconnect, or is there a separation between the apology and maybe forgiveness and consequences in the public sphere? He's apologizing, particularly connecting this to a commutation from President Biden.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I agree with I agree with forgiveness, and that we are not in a position to judge, right? So the only answer is grace. And, you know, but it does come back to, at the end of the day, it does come back to you're the one at the top. So part of an apology is because of others, is where I think we lose the credibility, and it becomes disingenuous. When people say, I take full responsibility for my actions and what I've done, I oftentimes say, okay, what does that mean as well?
Right. Gordon, you've been in politics, you've seen apologies, you've received apologies, you've probably given some apologies. How do you weigh all this out?
Well, you look at, the offense, and then we look at eternal moral standards of right and wrong, and for me, that's Scripture. The Bible ultimately is God's truth, and we run offenses up against that. We try to see, is there sincerity? But I do believe forgiveness is the ultimate order. If a person comes forward against those standards of truth and right, and makes a sincere effort, acknowledges, has a repentant spirit, if you will, that is the call of us to extend the forgiveness and recognize we're all fallen people and, sinful by nature due to the fall of Adam. And the calling then is to, in that same spirit that we can be forgiven through Jesus Christ, to extend forgiveness to others.
So is that one of the reasons you think why in this Barna survey you see such high numbers of unbelieving people say, hey, love what Jesus says. Sounds great. If I met that guy, I'd follow him. But they look at the followers and they see we hold grudges pretty well. We don't, on social media, we don't talk like Jesus when it comes to political candidates because they're different. We're allowed to do it a certain way because, hey, we're not Jesus. Do you think that's one of the reasons why there's a disconnect?
The 41% is a staggering number, but there have been so many high-profile failures of prominent people, pastors, political leaders, that, it becomes an easy off-ramp to a discussion about faith and values and so forth. But, tragically, I think that number should cause all of us to take a look inside and say, as Cynthia mentioned, am I walking the walk or just talking the talk? Is there sincerity in my life, and is it a life of integrity and solid values, or am I just out there, mouthing it?
You became a Christian a little bit later. You weren't like the 5-year-old, the 6-year-old that gave a profession of faith in Sunday school. What kept you early on in life, middle age, from saying, I don't know if that's for me?
It wasn't so much whether it was not for me or not. It was really about an awareness that you could actually have a relationship with Jesus, with God. I was brought up in a Catholic family, and I knew about God. We went to church, we checked the box. But one day it just kind of hit me like, oh. And then that's when everything changed. Then I started to have a lot of reflection around, well, my behaviors in my life maybe haven't been representing what Jesus would have us represent in our communities and how we live our daily life.
That's so interesting. Cynthia, your journey and how this conversation, why do you think people don't buy it? Why are there still so many people out there who say, like the Jesus part, not so sure about this club that you want me to join?
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, it's certainly in my path as well. We checked a lot of boxes growing up. You hate to say it, but that's the truth. And again, back to the political world of things, I think because there's so much media about people that will say, oh, thank the good Lord above that this happened, and yet tomorrow's actions look very different. So that's difficult. It's very difficult to sort of have both sides of that coin.
A good little warning light, right? A check engine light for us going into the election. Let me read to you what John Wesley said. So I kind of paraphrased in an opening, but this is 250 Octobers ago before an election. Devote without fee or reward for the person most worthy, meaning don't take the bribe. Don't speak evil of the person you vote against. And then this is the one I go, we probably should all check ourselves, to take care in their spirits that you're not sharpened against those that voted on the other side. Now that's 18th century language. Does it still work today to not hold that grudge against people you vote against?
Absolutely, though it's challenging. We all acknowledge that. We care about our values, our ideals. We want to see them advance. But ultimately, November 6th will come after November 5th. And I think Wesley's words ring very, very true. It goes back into the 10 Commandments about, honoring our father and mother, which is the foundation of respecting all people in positions of authority. And that includes the people elected that we don't care too much for. So I think we have to check ourselves and say, God has placed people into these positions. We need to respect them all.
I can't stand that woman. I can't stand that man. And once you say that, it feels like you're free to scroll in social media and make a comment, because somehow they're not an actual person like Gordon described anymore.
Right.
They're a caricature. They represent an ideology or a political party. What do you say to that?
Yeah, I think there's a reality to, perception, right? Perception is reality. So we have, again, the power of words that we use every day that position people in a light that, well, supports maybe a hidden narrative or an agenda that we're out for. And, wouldn't it be great, and I think I might have said it earlier this week, if the rules in running for election were that you can only talk about yourself, what you believe in, what you stand for, and what you're going to do for your community, your state, or your country, I think it would all look very, very different.
Are you announcing this is your platform if you run for political office?
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
All right, just double check, because that's a pretty interesting platform. Cynthia, bring this home. We're going into this very contentious last few days of an election, and we're getting mail and text messages every second, and we're on edge. How do you view this advice 250 years after John Wesley wrote it down?
Well, I think what Gordon said was really true. That's biblical speech. That's his quote, but that comes from the Bible. That's how Jesus lived his life. Just in different words.
Right.
And we're all sinners. At the end of the day, I live by, thank God I get a new mercy every day. I need it. We all ask for forgiveness. The truth of the matter is, if you haven't made up your mind what you're going to do on election day, that's a tough road. I don't know that there's really a huge population of people out there that are watching anything new going, I'm going to change my mind. I really think people know.
Let me just say thank you all for being on the panel this week. It's been very helpful, I know, to our viewers, and you brought a lot of light to our morning, so thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thanks to our panel for joining us today. Coming up next on Morning Light.
It all began on an ordinary day to an ordinary girl in an ordinary sort of way.
Well, a Broadway-style musical for the whole family. A Pennsylvania church is preparing for a Christmas wonderland. We'll have details about this year's show and how you can get tickets. And good morning to all of our friends in Carlisle, home to a Heart of Gold home care agency. Thank you for watching Morning Light on Lighthouse TV.
A Pennsylvania church brings a stage to life with the Christmas story. Joining me is Dan Baker, dramatic arts pastor at Christian Life Assembly in Camp Hill. Thank you for being with us this morning.
My pleasure. Thanks for having us.
Tell us about the show this year.
You know what? This year, we're going back to a simpler time, 1959, and we are going to have a lot of laughter, a lot of fun, a lot of music, dance, and just a feel-good Christmas story. It really centers around a Broadway star that we literally open the show with her starring on Broadway, and something happens, I'm not going to tell you just yet, you have to come see, but something happens that causes her to be banned from Broadway. And again, a lot of humor, but her agent sends her upstate New York to this community theater where she comes in touch with herself and just the insecurities that she has as a performer. And through the help of a lot of colorful characters in upstate New York who just kind of get her more grounded in Jesus' love for her, most of all, and just understanding that God loves her the way she is, and so she makes that journey. And of course, we end at the manger with a nativity and just a lot of Christmas music and feel good. We need that in today's culture, right? Especially during election year, we need people just need to laugh and relax and feel the peace of God in the room.
Yeah, absolutely. We do need something like this right now.
Yes.
So this is the 37th year. We were talking earlier, and you said that you write these productions.
Yeah.
How do you make them unique each year?
Well, that was always the challenge, right? Back in those early years, the publishing companies would produce and sell packages of Christmas musicals for churches, and you had several to pick from, and we've done all those several times, but we came to a point where they stopped producing those on a regular basis, and so it kind of forced me into writing scripts, which I found that I kind of enjoyed. So over the years, I've been able to find a template, so to speak, that works for our church, that includes just a lot of laughter and a lot of just feel-good moments for our audiences. So it's worked well. So I write the scripts along with the help of my wife, and we add music. I find music, published music, that we help tell the story through, and it's worked really well, yeah.
And it also involves a huge team.
Yeah, yes, we incorporate about 400 to 500 people, volunteers from our church, who give so much time and energy towards this. We have a cast of about 80, but we also have teams of set construction and costumes and hair and makeup and ushers and greeters and food prep and all these different teams full of volunteers who want to do something that's bigger than themselves, that they give of their time. We had a group just the other day that took the day off work. Our construction crew took the day off of their jobs to come and help start building the set, which just blows me away that men would actually take a day off to come and do that, and they spent 12 hours at the church building. So, and they'll continue to do that. And so, as the director producer, I'm just amazed at the number of hours that volunteers give. It just shows me that people want to serve God and do things. They'll just give hours and hours of their time, which is what really we all should be doing, right? That we can use the gifts God's given us.
Absolutely. Yeah. And what type of difference? I mean, that's what you're trying to do. Share the gospel. Right. What type of difference do you hope to make for the people attending?
Well, really, the whole idea of our Christmas production, even 37 years ago, was to make it an event that it would be non-threatening for people to come into a church. Some people are just, they have an idea of church, whatever that is, maybe negative, or maybe they just don't know who Jesus is at all. So we wanted to create an event where our people could invite their coworkers and their friends and say, hey, come see this Christmas show. You're going to laugh, you're going to see music and dance, and it's just a common ground, non-threatening event that people can come and realize the love of Jesus. And that's our number one goal. And in the process, we not only consider it as an outreach, but we know that it really helps people, our Christian family, who are living in a very stressful world, to come and just unwind and be reminded of what Christmas is really all about, and be able to laugh and feel the peace of God in that place. And then, of course, the third thing that it does is it creates community among all of our volunteers and our teams. It really helps people to connect to one another and to the church and to ministry. So it's really multi-level goals and accomplishments that we get through this.
Well, it certainly is a success, and looking forward to seeing the show this year. Dan, thank you so much for being with us.
Well, it's great to be here. Thank you. We appreciate the time.
Sure. And the Brightest Star runs the first 2 weeks in December. Tickets do go on sale Saturday, October 26th. So check out clacamphill.com for more information. And coming up next on Morning Light.
Long lay the world in sin and error pine, till he appeared and the soul felt his word.
And you are listening to a song from last year's Christmas Wonderland production. Coming up, you will hear "Oh Holy Night." Welcome back. As you just heard, tickets will go on sale next week for Christian Life Assembly's annual Christmas Wonderland program. And we wanted to share a song with you from last year's production. Take a listen to "Oh Holy Night."
Oh, holy night, the stars are brightly shining. It is the night of our dear Savior's birth. Long lay the world in sin and error pine, till he appeared Truly he taught us to love one another. His law is love, and his gospel is peace. Chains shall he break, for the slave is our brother, and in his name all oppression shall cease. Sweet hymns of hope in grateful chorus raise we, let all within us praise his holy name. Christ is the Lord. Oh, praise his name forever. His power and glory forevermore proclaim. Oh, night divine.
Welcome back. Good morning, Mansfield, New Jersey, and to Fountain of Life Center. Thank you for watching Morning Light on Lighthouse TV. And coming up Monday on Morning Light, what does the Bible say about debt? Well, we will speak with a Christian financial advisor, and we will take you on a road trip to a coffee shop that shines. The message of faith is poured into every cup. And that's a look at what's coming up Monday on Morning Light. Now, Jeff, your closing thoughts, and have a great weekend.
You have a great weekend, and we'll introduce you all to a new Morning Light panel next week. Well, Google the word apology, and you'll find hundreds, thousands of I'm sorries from CEOs and politicians and athletes and journalists and musicians, people who, husbands, wives, children, entire governments. Each apology sparks a debate. Is it sincere? What's the real motive? Did some PR guy or a lawyer string the words together? If you're not a Christian, a follower of Christ, there's no requirement to forgive. But if you're a Christian, it's not an option. If you forgive, you will be forgiven. If you don't, you won't be forgiven. Those of us who have experienced the forgiveness of God knows this. Forgiveness is impossible, especially in the face of the deepest wrongs, without His power working through us. People who want to know if we're Christians won't tell by our party affiliation or any other measurement. It's our capacity to forgive where the gospel is loudest. I'm Jeff Coleman. We'll see you again next week right here on Morning Light.